This is NEC On the Run Women's Basketball Edition. Hello, folks. It's almost that time. We've spent the last few months marching toward March, and now it's just about here. The NEC Women's Basketball Tournament tips off in less than 1 week. This is our final show together of the regular season. Let's make it a good one. Let's make it a great one. And let's tip it off by examining the big picture. The top of the photo hasn't changed much in recent weeks. St. Francis and Robert Morris still at the top. You see them at 14-2. They are 6 games ahead of the rest of the field with 2 games to go. They have guaranteed themselves host status for the quarterfinal, semifinal round tournament pods, and they are a combined 26-2 against the rest of the Northeast Conference. Robert Morris has won 4 in a row. They have only lost back-to-back games once this year. Those were the first 2 games of the season, and they've really been rolling ever since. St. Francis U has won 3 in a row. They started conference play with a 4-game win streak, had a 7-game win streak in the middle of the league schedule. Now they're peaking again as we head into the postseason. Robert Morris, SFU, they'll host the first 2 rounds of the tournament. Of course, the championship game will be played at the site of the highest remaining seed, but we have a long way to go before we get to the title tilt. We still have to fill out the entire tournament field. 5 teams have punched their tickets, the aforementioned Colonials and Red Flash. Then there's St. Francis Brooklyn, Bryant, and Sacred Heart. Those 3 teams have locked up postseason berths. That leaves 5 teams fighting for the final 3 spots. It really is anyone's guess as to how things will shake out after the final week of regular season play. Right now, only 2 games separate 3rd place from 9th place. That's 2 games difference between being the number 3 seed and being left out of the postseason. Amongst those teams in the middle, Sacred Heart is the hottest. The Pioneers won back-to-back games last week. They've won 5 of their last 6. We'll talk more about them later on in the show. But as for now, we have 5 teams postseason bound, 3 spots left. We'll sort it all out this weekend. You can watch all the action live on NEC Front Row. It's Friday and Sunday this week as opposed to Saturday, Monday. We're going Friday, and we're wrapping everything up on Sunday afternoon on Front Row. That's the big picture. What she get? She gets buckets. And if we had a show last week, you would have heard about Sydney Holloway back then, but you're hearing about her now, and she hasn't stopped piling up the points. She averaged 19.5 points per game last week. She scored at least 16 points in each of her last 5 games, 16, 23, 24, 20, and 19. She opened the month of February with a monster double-double, 29 points, 22 rebounds. And that leads me to my next thought, and it's Sydney Holloway not only gets buckets, but she gets rebounds, a lot of them. She's averaging 10.3 rebounds per game. That's first amongst NEC leaders. Her 17.5 points per game are third amongst NEC leaders. She has 14 double-doubles. She has double-doubles in each of her past 4 games. She's Bryant sophomore Sydney Holloway. She's balling out. She gets buckets. I'm calling the Twitter timeout. It is time to take a look at a top tweet from the past week, and this one comes from Mr. V. Mr. V is happy that the Colonials put another notch in the win column. He loved the victory on Monday night on the road over Central Connecticut. He calls it a strong, all-out defensive effort. And that's the Robert Morris team that I know. Head coach Charlie Buscaglia has established a mentality in Moon Township, and it all revolves around hustle and hard defense. And when it comes to defense, no one in the NEC has been better this year than the Colonials. Robert Morris leads the circuit in points per game allowed, just over 54 per game. They are limiting NEC opponents to a .344 field goal percentage. That's the lowest in the conference. In that aforementioned win over CCSU, they gave up only 51 points and forced 25 Blue Devil turnovers. In the month of February, RMU has held its opponent under the 50-point mark on 4 occasions. So yeah, it was a strong, all-out defensive effort on Monday night at Central, and that has become commonplace for the Robert Morris Colonials. Time to check in on the NEC stock market. We'll see whose value is on the rise. It's no coincidence that the Pioneers are heating up, and Erin Stork is playing some of her best basketball of the season. Sacred Heart has won 5 of the last 6. Erin Stork has led the Pioneers in 4 of those 6 games. Sacred Heart notched 2 important victories in terms of playoff positioning last week, and they got a lot of help from Erin Stork while doing it. She scored 17 in the win over LIU. She dropped 21 points in the win over St. Francis Brooklyn. After a little bit of a midwinter lull, Stork is reverting back to her season-opening form. She scored at least 12 points in each of the season's first 9 games, including 23 against Brown, 29 against Providence. She slipped off a little bit, but now she's back up, 19 points per game last week. Her season scoring average is up to 11.2 points per game. Erin Stork and the Sacred Heart Pioneers, their stock is on the way up. You know, that's amazing. And for one final time this season, I'll give you a stat that has me in a state of amazement. And this one comes courtesy of the Sacred Heart Pioneers. With their victory on Monday night, the Pioneers locked up a spot in the Northeast Conference Tournament. They have the longest active postseason streak in the NEC. It's 19 years in a row the Pioneers have been a part of the NEC's postseason event. In fact, they never missed out on an NEC tournament since becoming a league member. And that's amazing. But since it's our last time together, I won't leave you on that note. I'll give you 2 bonus nuggets about the top 2 seeds in the Northeast Conference Tournament, Robert Morris and St. Francis, PA. 2 postseason facts. First, the Colonials. They have advanced to the NEC championship game each of the past 4 years. They'll look to make it 5 in a row. And of course, they've won 3 titles during that span. Then when it comes to St. Francis U, the Red Flash have advanced to the semifinal round of the NEC tournament 17 times in the event's 31-year existence. For you math majors out there, that's better than 50%. On 16 of those 17 occasions, the Flash moved on to the title tilt. Robert Morris and St. Francis U, they're at the top heading into the 2018 postseason, and they're looking to add to quite the storied tradition. 4 straight championship games for RMU. More than 50% of the time, SFU is in the semifinals. And stats, amazing. So there you have it. I've set you up for the final week of regular season play in NEC women's basketball. The tournament tips off on March 7th. quarterfinals. The following day will be the semifinals on March 8th. All of those games will be carried via NEC Front Row. And then there's the championship game on March 11th, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPNU. We know our top 2 seeds. We don't yet know all of the participants. And, of course, we don't know who is going to capture the NEC's automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. We don't know now, but we'll find out in the days ahead. For NEC Front Row, I'm Ralph Ventre. This is NEC On the Run Women's Basketball Edition. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support throughout the season. Go forth and enjoy March Madness.